This is American Progress, an 1872 painting by John Gast. It was the painting that symbolized manifest destiny, an idea that Americans were ordained by God to expand westward and conquer the rest of the continent, which at that time belonged to indigenous people and Mexico. This belief in self-manifestation was the predecessor of what would eventually be called the American dream. The idea that irrespective of where you come from, if you are willing to work hard, you can succeed in America. However, the American dream is just becoming less possible.
Have a 50-50 chance of doing better than your parents if you're born in the 90s.
For the first time in our nation's history, a 30-year-old man or woman isn't doing as well as his or her parents.
Opportunity was supposed to be ubiquitous wherever you were. Instead, opportunity today is really only ubiquitous for the social group for whom the entire economy is structured, the richest people in America.
Do you feel like people in our generation can achieve that dream?
No, our generation is one that's become more and more jaded as we see like our pathways and our opportunities to success become either closed off or gatekept by older generations or by barriers such as like religion or race or sexual orientation and things like that. And then like in general, just by income, right? So it's becoming harder to become a homeowner. So I think more and more people are coming to a point where they feel that the American dream is quote unquote more and more out of reach for them. And that's kind of happening across a lot of different lines.
It's called the American dream because you have to be asleep to believe it.
In an unjust world, everyone deserves an American dream, an opportunity to succeed purely based on your own merit. From seeing my friends struggle so much and going through a million immigration hurdles, I knew that I needed to find a new dream. Then I discovered this idea called geolocation arbitrage. This is basically when you exploit the cost of living difference between two locations. This meant that if I planned it right, I could earn like an American, live like a European, and party like I was in Latin America. This became my new dream. It also made me wonder, what if the new American dream was not moving to America? What if we had a new dream in our generation? And that dream was the internet dream. A dream that did not require you to flee from your country and be the fortunate few that make it through the entire immigration process, but a dream that simply required that you have a phone and a solid internet connection. A good example of this would be Kabi Lame, a TikToker who recently became the most followed person on TikTok for his skits where he literally says nothing. Before he started on TikTok, he was working as a factory worker in Italy. Because of Italy's tough immigration laws, he was only able to become a citizen after his fame. And once he started making money, the first thing he did was buy a more expensive phone. This is what I mean by the internet dream, and this dream is giving the American dream a run for its money. So am I saying that everybody should become some kind of TikToker, YouTuber, crypto enthusiast, digital nomad? No. But what I am saying is that we have all radically underestimated how the world will change over the coming decades as more people get access to the internet from the global south. The internet exemplifies a very important line in the Declaration of Independence. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, and amongst those are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Let's start off with the first part, that all men are created equal. As Alexis Ohanian, co-founder of Reddit and founder of 776 says,
Okay, yeah. The important thing on the internet is, at least in an open internet, is that all links are created equal. We strive for a meritocracy in this country. We want to believe that you do well because you've earned it, but all of us know meritocracies don't exist in the real world. They exist online though. Again, in an internet where all links are created equal, the best stuff bubbles up to the top. And that's a very powerful tool, one that the world hasn't seen before. For all of human civilization up until only recently, so many people who had great ideas were kept from sharing them with the world because they were born in the wrong place, in the wrong time, to the wrong family, to the wrong race, the wrong religion, the wrong gender. And while the internet is not a cure-all, for people who have that connection, they actually now have a level playing field. And stories that are important and ideas that are important can actually be seen by the world.
He's also married to Serena Williams, and if you let me, this will become a video about the GOAT. This would be a Serena Stan video. Even the tools we use to surf the internet are equal. Depending on which part of the world you're in, your access to healthcare and education varies so much, like it's ridiculous. But if you buy a certain iPhone, right, you have the exact same iPhone as every other person who bought that model. That is remarkable. The equality we hope for in education, in healthcare, we actually get on our mobile devices. Every single major internet application has an army of UX designers trying to make that thing as accessible as possible. Unlike other things that are built or predicated on the idea that few people have access to them, internet and social media applications thrive the more people are on them, and that's simply called a network effect. Our entire modern history has been shaped largely by immigration. In the United Kingdom, nearly 500,000 people moved from the Caribbean to Britain for a better life and would later be known as the Windrush generation. Movies like Tuki Buki, Scarface, Brooklyn, and Black Girl all tell the stories of young people moving for better opportunities.
War in Kigali, Rwanda, and at the time there was a genocide that was happening. And so my parents obviously had to leave that situation and eventually found their way here to America.
In the US from 1892 to 1924, about 70% of immigrants came to Ellis Island from Europe. If you're a child from the global south, you understand what the West symbolized, especially America. America was this place with hot dogs and New York and Spider-Man. You felt America when you watched The Social Network and knew that Zuckerberg could only have succeeded in America. And that level of success was just something that was not accessible to you. You felt America when you realized that a lot of other countries had elections too, but we all cared about the American one far more. My Ghanaian American friend told me about how when she was in Ghana, anytime they would see a plane fly over, they would all run after it, hoping that it would take them to America. You also intuitively knew that that part of the world was out of reach to you. The internet completely shatters this. Countries now have to reckon with the fact that the internet is a space that they do not have complete control over. Today, a person with a solid internet connection can participate in the global economy, irrespective of your passport, race, or location. This entire concept of the internet dream means so much to me because I went to a very good secondary school in Nigeria. And outside of my secondary school was a very underdeveloped part of the country. Like, I got to go to school with the people whose parents were looting the entire country. But I recognized that if I had just been born a couple of meters away from where I currently was, I would literally be a child bride today. And that realization made a very large impression on me. The only reason why I'm a software engineer today was because MIT made its courseware available on its website for free. If it wasn't for that cosmic alignment of events, I don't know where I'll be doing today. Like, I don't know where my life would have taken me. Another reason why I deeply believe in this idea of the internet dream is because if America was built on libertarian ideas of escaping the monarchy, you have to ask yourself, what is the next iteration of this libertarianism? What comes next? Right now, depending on which part of the world you're in, you feel the COVID backlog of visa applications. So unlike physical immigration that's becoming slower, the TCP visa, that is the visa you have when you're on your phone or mobile device, is instant. I learned the phrase TCP visa from Balaji Srinivasan. He's this amazing thinker in tech and has this book called The Network State. You should all check it out. Now we have the second part, that they are endowed by their creator with certain unalienable rights, that amongst those are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. On the internet, you can be vegan and believe that any harm on animals is unconscionable, to a carnivore that believes that we should eat like lions. You do not need anybody's permission to participate on the internet, maybe apart from your parents, if you live with them, and you're a minor. This means that you can learn from whoever you want and post whatever you want. I hear you. What if I get cancelled or deplatformed and all the misinformation on the internet? I would argue that being deplatformed or being cancelled and misinformation are all problems that existed before the internet. The best part of being cancelled is that you can always write under a pseudonym. This is what authors and creators have done since the dawn of time to protect themselves when they wrote about controversial topics. Even if you're one of those more high-profile people that get deplatformed on the internet, your ideas really never leave. They always just spread to the people who believe them. Before the internet, people had to rely on the government or high-profile media companies to provide them with information. Clearly, all the information was truthful, unbiased, and objective. But now, if you don't agree with what you're hearing on the news, go on Twitter and search for that location and you can see what every other person is saying on the ground. You can find your community and hobbies and express yourself more on the internet than you can in the physical world. The physical world is simply not keeping up. When you walk around the streets of Lisbon, you are radically reminded of how old the city is. I think it's the oldest city in Europe, and we love the old building facade You also realize how people of previous generations built large monuments and churches for other people to enjoy. In the physical world, we are not building such things today. And this video is not to bash the progress that has been made in the physical world. In the past few decades, we have reduced global poverty, we have eradicated diseases, increased lifespans, and educated large portions of the population. However, I worry that people feel that that progress has stalled. And human beings need something to hope for. We are a very restless species. There was a time where the map of the world was empty and we had to draw over every single part of it. And even if you hadn't seen the most remote parts of the world physically, you could do so on the internet. The physical world has just become kind of boring, especially compared to the beautiful chaos that is the internet. And because the internet is so dynamic, we have not drawn over the entire map, and we will never be able to. There will always be a new internet rabbit hole to go down. And until we have conventional space travel, the internet is still our greatest frontier. Another objection would be, do I think the internet is fair and that you can succeed on your own merits? I do not think the internet is perfect. However, I do think it is far more fair than the physical world. You can be a Mexican grandmother who has a cooking channel, or you can be an African travel YouTuber. You could be a reaction YouTuber and make money from talking, or can be lame and make money from saying absolutely nothing. So no, the internet is not perfect. However, it does create a lot of new games that are valuable at scale. I hear you, not everybody can become a YouTuber or influencer. Yes, not everybody can become the next Mr. Beast. However, I am keenly enthusiastic about what a world would look like as more people from the global south are getting access to the internet. They do not need to be a Mr. Beast to be able to make money that provides them with a greater quality of life via the internet. This is a kind of leverage that people of previous generations have never experienced. There are only two logical conclusions. You either believe the internet has peaked and it's only going downhill from here, or you believe that there's a lot more innovation that we are not aware of yet that could still happen on the internet. And if it continues in this trend, therefore access to the internet will become cheaper, faster, and more diverse. This is the kind of internet that I want to be a part of and help build. I will see you all next time.